morning from Casa Batio, Gaudi's masterpiece in the city of Barcelona. Today I am going to ICBC, the International Cannabis Business Convention, and I am going to be talking about social panels. No, excuse me. I'm going to be on a social panel talking about clubs. No, I'm going to be on a panel talking about social clubs. Yes, sorry. Alright, let's go! He's a big goof. I'm a big goof.
Oh.
I just wanted to show you the water really quickly before we arrived. We went to the after party before the party. So it just occurred to me why I've been a hot mess this morning. I couldn't speak clearly. I took us to the wrong place. I went into my little world clock. Well, it's almost 3 a.m. in LA right now. Somehow we're gonna pull through. I hope. Boom, boom, boom.
Panel on social cannabis clubs. We'll be talking obviously about social cannabis clubs, but we'll also be talking a little bit about dispensaries. Next up is Dr. Dina.
Hello, I am Dr. Dina. I am not a real doctor. I'm board certified by Snoop Dogg. I started the very first dispensary in Southern California. We have the oldest in operation dispensary in the United States, which is pretty amazing. But I first started in the medical side. I opened up the very first doctor's office that specialized in medical cannabis recommendations. And then we had to find a place where we could send our patients to pick up their medicine, because everyone would ask, once they got their letter of recommendation, they were now legal, where do we get our cannabis? So we opened up a dispensary in the city of West Hollywood. We worked very closely with the city to create regulations to allow people to have safe access. The reason why we started in the city of West Hollywood is because there are more people living in that city with HIV and AIDS, similar to a San Francisco, than most major cities. And because of that, we were able to push the medical side of it. As you know, cannabis is extremely popular for people with HIV and AIDS. We know that it helps with wasting syndrome, with pain, with nausea, all these other side effects from medications. So because of that, we were able to get the voice of the community. And from there, you could open up the door to people with cancer, people with MS, people with aches and pains, people with migraines, people with stress. And before you know it, that really means to me, all use is medical use. We have now convinced California to loosen its regulations in a way where we now have adult use cannabis. So anyone 21 and over can walk into my dispensary, show their driver's license or passport from anywhere in the world, and they can procure cannabis. They can purchase it. It is taxed. It is like buying a pair of shoes in a department store, except department stores aren't regulated. We are more regulated than alcohol, than pharmacies. It's really unbelievable what we've created. When I first started the dispensary, I didn't see the future, really, of where we'd be now. But now we're a huge industry. And I have licenses for cultivation, for manufacturing, for distribution, for delivery, and retail. So I really have seen the full spectrum. But the most exciting part is now the social clubs, which we are just starting to open now in California. And I think it's going to really change the way that people see medicating or using cannabis, because we're going to have a safe place to go do it, similar to what they've built in Amsterdam and now Spain.
Dr. Dina, you like me have experience in those very, very early dispensary days. Where is California at right now compared to where Spain is at or where Canada is at?
Well, California is a whole nother beast now. I mean, ever since legalization hit, it's both exciting and sad, because there are so many people who built the industry to where we are right now, who were pushed out. They were not able to get licenses. And those to me are some of the most talented people you want on your side. You want those people on your team. You want them growing cannabis. Unfortunately, for us, they might be moving to Spain to grow the cannabis here because there's just not that much opportunity. There's only so many licenses that are being given out. There's a lot of big corporations coming in, pushing out the small people. And that's what's really happening right now. Yes, it's exciting that we're seen as a legitimate business, although we still have the federal government looming over our heads saying, sorry guys, it's not federally legal. It's still a Schedule I drug. It's not going to happen. But that means I can't bank. And so I can't have a bank account under my dispensary name. They shut me down all the time. You can pop up with a different management company. They're going to find you. And so that's the biggest issue right now. It's the money, it's the banking, it's how do you pay your bills, how do you pay your employees. The state's requiring that we do payroll in a certain amount of time. But how do you pay a payroll company when you don't have a bank account? So you have to find a payroll company that's popping up in the cannabis industry that someone who was a grower maybe could not get a license, but now they're starting a all-cash payroll company. They'll come and pick up the cash from your dispensary and they'll pay the payroll. So we're figuring it out. We're self-regulating as an industry. It's exciting times. For me, I think that by having the social club license, the lounge, and we're in the process of opening up a restaurant and lounge right now, it's open, it's advertised. I can go to Yelp and I can search for it, it's there. That changes the way that people can medicate. Here it's like I had to do a lot of homework to find a place, and I had to send messages to people, and I had to get it made it really exciting. When I walked in, I felt like I earned it, And I visited David's amazing shop last night, his lounge last night. It's a beautiful place. It's just a nice place the community. That's what it's about. It's about building community amongst cannabis users because we're really smart people.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It's very, very hard to get inside the HQ. I know a lot of people that knows me. They say, David, how is it possible? I was there, I couldn't get in. Just right now, half an hour ago, one guy, David, we met yesterday. I'm like, yeah, where? In the front of the shop. I'm like, yeah. So what's up? He's like, I couldn't get in. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It's difficult. We make it. We're not making it difficult. It's not like usually you have to be signed up by another. It's all the time, 100%.
Can you imagine the difference though? On January 1st of this last year, when we became legal, I showed up to work and there was a line that was over 1.5 miles long of people waiting. And I'm going, what are they waiting for? I mean, this is crazy.
And this is some of the ironies of legalization. So what we've seen in California in the microcosm is you've got cities like San Francisco and Berkeley and Oakland that have really great sort of community-oriented initiatives, subsidized medicine, things like that. And then once the state legalized, it sort of steamrolled a lot of that stuff and kind of pushed it down.
It's funny you said that because I was in my shop the other day and I was talking and there was a homeless man that came in and I could see he was struggling and trying to look for some change in his pocket. And normally, in the past, I would see someone like that, I would go into the back and I would grab a joint and I would give it to him and say, there you go, because that's what we're here for as a community. Now I can't do that. I cannot do it unless this man pays taxes.
Yeah, and I think, if you ever federally, I was in a different club yesterday, and it was kind of hard to talk about, legalization because they really want it to be legal, and I was like, well, do you? Because right now what you're at is pretty good. I mean, that's exactly what it comes down to.
But you know what, for me, the legitimacy, I've had a dispensary for 17 years. I could walk into different social circles throughout my life, right, and tell people what I do for a living. And for the last 17 years, it was like, ooh, oh, you're a drug dealer, or oh, you're in the gray zone, oh, I can't be friends with you, you might go to jail. Oh, everybody wants to be my friend, everybody wants to know how's business, do you need an investor, everybody's proud of me. I've had people, conservative Republicans, are taking cannabis. I had Republican congressmen come to me for cannabis products because they have a bad shoulder. It was just cream but they wouldn't use it before, and now it's okay. So the stigma is gone, and I believe that that stigma is going to help the rest of the world. Once that stigma leaves, everybody else is going to see this was not a big deal. Nothing's happening. There are no car accidents in California more than there were before. In fact, there's less. There are less kids using cannabis because it's just not cool anymore. It's like, it's easy to get it, big deal.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what we are
And opioid,
defending here.
drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We are equipped to provide cannabis to our users, so there is no more case of there is no need to go to the street and find a dealer. So it's like it's more closed.
Exactly. When you go to a dealer and
It's
you're looking
regulated.
for cannabis,
It's
right?
not regulated like you're not
A lot,
selling these.
but if you have a child and you know that kid is going to go buy weed, right? Wouldn't you rather him go to a social club and pick it up there as opposed to go to a drug dealer who might offer them and say, hey, I'm low on weed, but I have some ecstasy and some pills that I don't really quite know what's in there, but take those. I've had too many friends overdose over the years because they didn't have access to cannabis.
In Vancouver, what we've seen, and this was even before legalization, is as the number of dispensaries grew, the youth use rate dropped. The age of first use dropped by a whole year within the space of about 5 years. Trying to get cannabis in the high school didn't work. I mean, I smoked my first joint in the girls' washroom in I think grade 8. That was the first time I was exposed to cannabis, and I don't think schools really see that now.
Well, they have the DARE program, and I think that's what a lot of kids' first introduction to cannabis is, you know, your brain on drugs is the egg cracking in a pan, and you're going to be toasted, you can't pass the SATs, which is all a lie, obviously. But my nephew is 13. I never told him what I did for a living. I was terrified this kid's gonna find me on Instagram and see my profile. I'm like, oh God, he's old enough, right? So I sat him down and I said, listen, and I was so terrified to tell him. I felt like I was as a 15-year-old telling my parents I was pregnant or something. It was like this horrible, by the way, you know, I'm in the marijuana industry. He goes, oh, okay, that's for sick people.
Yeah,
it was like, whatever, why is that important? Why do you care? Why are you nervous?
And those attitudes change so fast.
So quickly.
So fast. Like, I think people would be surprised.
And that's our future, those kids. And if we continue.
I have a nephew, he's 13. He came, he's coming every year to Spain to visit me. So last time he was like, hey, you know what, uncle, you gave me this shirt. I saw 420 on it. What's that? I'm like, you know, it's the number of the building I had the office. He's like, yeah, sure. So, you know, they know it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I know what you mean because last time we moved to another apartment with my wife, it was like, all right, we signed the pre-contract, it was good. In 2 days, the agent's calling like that. It's not possible. Like, why? Because they just looked up your name in Google. I'm like, what's up there? They put your name in Google. And yeah, so, but you know what happened? The director of the agency called owners and they talked, and we came in and they were like 90 years old, like serious bourgeois people here. They were cool. We explained, they saw me, I don't know, it's changing. It's very slow,
I think
but it's
the
changing.
older generations are actually impressed by what we do because they appreciate entrepreneurism, like they appreciate that you can go out and build a business. It's like, the younger ones, I feel like it was like the 60-year-olds I had a hard time convincing.
Exactly.
But we got them.
One time we went to see the building before the HQ, you know, we opened the HQ, and that woman, she was like, what? Weed? No. This is not for our family. I'm like, what? What do you mean? We'd rather have a bar open, a bar.
Right,
So you want to open the bar, so anytime you open a bar, you know that there are some, you know, consciences. You know, there is coke, there is like, I don't know, like illegal alcohol, there is like kids entering, walking in. So you're accepting this, but you're not accepting weed club.
Right, so I almost got kicked out of Bergheim last year, club in Berlin, and it was because of that. I was smoking a joint, and you know, there's people going in and out of the bathroom like all night long, every 10 minutes.
Sure.
And they came up to me, it's like, you're smoking that shit? Is there shit in it? And I thought they meant tobacco. I was like, no, I don't put tobacco in my cannabis. And it turned out, you know, my German friend was like, no, that's what they call cannabis, shit. And I was like, oh, that's a weird stigma to kind of still have to try and deal with. Kind of coming back to the models, I was wondering maybe if you could talk a little bit about the coffee shop model in Amsterdam, for example, and how certain unregulated gray markets, there's certain benefits to it, and then there's also some drawbacks, such as, you still have the threat of having your kids taken away from you, or things like that.
I think my favorite part of regulation is the lab testing, to be perfectly honest. Just knowing that what we're getting is clean, it's safe medicine. You have, when legalization first hit, and I tried to look into my little, crystal ball to predict the future as to what would happen the next day. It was December 31st. I was terrified. I didn't know if I was just gonna have miles of 21-year-olds standing in line buying the cannabis, and there were small amounts because not many people had been licensed yet. And my concern was, will I have enough cannabis for the medical patients? Because we still take the medical. There's the adult use side and there's the medical. Medical patients can buy as much as they want. There's no limit. They don't pay sales tax if you have a medical card. They still pay a 15% excise tax, but it's lab tested. And to me, that is the most exciting part. Because there's going to be molds, there's pesticides.
It's also a minefield though. So what we're running through in Canada is overly restrictive. So if you grow in live soil, for example, there's no way you will ever pass testing. And it doesn't matter if it's clean or not. That's the way they set their regulations. Right?
I have a friend who failed their pesticides, or they had E. coli in their cannabis. It was from their earthworms on an organic grow. So yes, there could always be bumps in the road. We will have there's going to be a learning curve to figuring this out, but there's a lot of clean product on the market. That part is great. What I noticed that when, instead of the 21-year-olds showing up, it was the 60-year-olds.
Yes.
It was all these people who were afraid to get their doctor's note, who said, I got a bad shoulder, or I can't sleep at night, and I like this. The vape pen market went through the roof overnight. Really incredible market. We probably went from 15% of our sales to 60% of our sales, which is tremendous. But with the lab testing, you have phase 3, which just hit, which is heavy metals, and a lot of companies using cheap cartridges are noticing that the metal inside the cartridge is leaching into the oil. The silicone ring is turning into ammonia. So it's not all perfect, but we have to make sure we're using a good high quality product, pen, surgical steel, that's good for the end user.
For sure. So, like, if I wanted to set up a social club here tomorrow, how would I do that? Besides calling Bernardo and making sure I had a good lawyer.
Yeah, that was my first call Bernardo. First of all, there is a complicated process of getting all the paperwork done. There are specialized companies that can help you here in that.
So what kind of paperwork would you need?
I don't know what's the name in English, but it's estatutos. It's like the rules that your organization is gonna buy. Yeah. So I'm not sure if they're still giving the licenses. I know that in some regions of Spain they're not giving them at all. Here in Barcelona we had I think 2 years of they closed it, then they opened it again. It's difficult. It's very difficult. The thing is also when you want to open a social club, you have to understand that the cultivation, the growing, and the transport is illegal here in Spain. Absolutely, no gray area. It's just illegal. So yeah, let's say in Netherlands, for example, they can sell weed, but they can't grow weed. I mean, it's a loophole. It's a big loophole. Here the same, but the club, all this social club system is working still just because one thing, it's the constitutional right here in Spain if you're adult and you're more than 18 years old, so you can consume your cannabis privately. So if I can do it myself at home and you can do it yourself at your home, what's up if we want to do it together? And what's up if we all want to do it together? So we gather, yeah, and maybe we make a collective crop, yeah, and we just rent a place, yes, and we set rules to be right. That's it. So that's how it starts. Everyone that wants to get in, he has to be represented by the other member, and there is no other way of getting in. This is very, very strict thing, and I don't know if a lot of people understand that. No walk-ins is very important in social cannabis club system.
So what would your advice to Spain be?
You know, look at the other models that have worked. Obviously, Colorado went first in the United States. California saw that, they saw the money. At the end of the day, that's what the government wants. They want the money. And unfortunately, we have to kind of sell our souls to the devil a little bit to make this work. But they will want the money. And when they come for it, hopefully you guys will all get licensed to be the first ones to be able to run it.
Let's hear it for Jamie and Bernardo and Dr. Dina and David. It's fantastic. That was great. I was
Kaya, non dago kaya?
These rooftop little, whatever they are, domes, inspired the stormtrooper. Take that, George Lucas.